Yeah,
can
I don't know if
happen.
we have time for the full story,
Yeah.
but I mean, Rip touched on it, 10 years ago, which was actually before the Great Recession hit, the vision of the foundation leaders in the community to put together this $100 million fund. I think what was unique about it is they put together an organization, New Economy Initiative, that's really a project that sits within the community foundation that can deliver and sort of serve as a process manager of an entrepreneurial ecosystem. You look at Denver or Silicon Valley, a lot of entrepreneurial ecosystems are driven by entrepreneurs in the private sector, right? For us, it's really the looking at it as an ecosystem was driven by philanthropy. And we had the privilege, because philanthropy doesn't usually play in the economic development space in this way. Usually it was left to the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. But because inclusion was such a key factor in what we wanted to do, we had this room to explore and play, and we weren't just grant makers. We've also been conveners, where we make a grant to an organization, but we make sure that that organization understands what role they play in the ecosystem so that they can see themselves as a part of an ecosystem and how that impacts another organization. And then we pull them together so they can talk and get to know each other. You'd assume they knew each other, but they didn't. And so we use our grant dollars to influence relationships, right? We also did a lot of work of how we track data so that people could see the work as a process, as an ecosystem, and not just independent organizations doing stuff. And then we could socialize and evangelize the notion of inclusion, and not just who you serve, but who are you hiring, and have those conversations across the board. And then we could catalyze things. One of the NEI ideas is a small business plan competition that NEI now stepped out of their role as grant maker and stepped out of their role as convener and actually became a program developer. And this is a program that really celebrates what we call the bin-ups. Those companies that you say aren't as sexy as the startups, where we are giving like $500,000 a year to 30 or so companies within the city of Detroit, Hamtramck, and Highland Park. And it's not really about the low, and it's 400 words to apply, very low entry to the capital, but it's not really the capital. It's now all of those 1,800 applicants are in our system. We know who they are, we know what they need, we're talking to them now, and we're helping them to connect to the small business support ecosystem that was layered on and developed through philanthropic support through NEI funding. And so, those are the creative ways that we've been using, this structure like NEI that's not a foundation and it's not an NGO delivering service to be that process manager of sorts within the city.